Alrighty, welcome to episode 1 of the Side by Side Australia podcast. So it's a podcast for Australian side-by-side adventure riders. I'm here with my good buddy Clint Sheridan. I'm over in Tassie doing the field days, AgFest field days. So we decided while I'm over here, I might as well hang out with you in your cool shed. And you've got no idea what's in this shed. This is nothing. He's got his Hayabusa drag quad up the back here. He's got all the quads around the place, all the two-wheelers, and all the side-by-sides are in the next room.
Yeah, we don't let people know too much what's in here.
No, we won't tell them. We don't know where you are.
No.
Tassie's a pretty big place.
Yeah, we're not even in Tassie, are we?
No.
No.
So anyway, we want to have a bit of a chat about the podcast, about the Side by Side Australia podcast, and give you a bit of an idea of what it's all about and how it links in with the Side by Side Club of Australia. So the podcast itself is sponsored by 47 Industries, ATV store up in Queensland, which is I'm sure where a lot of us buy a lot of our gear from anyway. City Discount Tyres in Port Adelaide. Scoot Around Sales, which is a great Polaris dealer down in Adelaide. And Tread Lightly. The club's actually affiliated with Tread Lightly in North America, which is great to have their backing as well. Clint, how long have we known each other, mate? How long have we been hanging out?
I'm only a dirty old tradie. I probably can't count that long. I don't know. We've had to have known each other from, I think we started riding with you 2012, 11, 12.
Yeah,
and
right.
Probably met a couple of years before that, Thump Pump.
Yeah, because I signed you and your brother up for the Can-Am X team on the quads.
Which was 2012, I think.
Yeah, righto.
Yeah. So, long enough.
Yeah, but we've done a lot of other stuff as well. I mean, we've been
done some cool stuff.
over to China.
Yep, we done a CF Moto tour.
We did a CF Moto tour, yeah, for the Russian, Chinese and French distributors. That was around South Australia and New South Wales.
That was interesting. And then, yeah, we've done plenty of stuff here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's been a long time, but you guys are starting to, even though you're still racing, I know you guys just did the Thump Pump 300, a race that I started many years ago.
Yeah.
You guys did that last weekend.
Yeah, so we have a midlife crisis and going back racing.
But that's obviously all on quads.
Yeah.
But you also have side-by-sides.
Yeah.
So you had the two-wheeler, the two-seat X3s for a while.
Yeah, so we had so obviously Noel, Mick and what you do, we were doing the Chinese stuff.
Which was advanced driver training schools for them.
And then BRP were kind enough to give us a couple of consignment units. So we had the XDS and the RS. Obviously all that come to an end around COVID. So now I've got a unit, I've got plenty of stuff around here to ride by myself. So I've got a 4-seater Max now, so I can be more family orientated and probably do more group trail rides and fun stuff like that instead of being so selfish and just racing by myself. So I've got the 4-seater.
It's funny, isn't it? When they first came out, and the 4-seaters first came out, we thought, there's not going to be any fun. There's not going to be anywhere you can take them, especially in Tassie.
Oh, and I thought the same. But then when actually side-by-sides first came out, I thought, what do I want a side-by-side? I'm going to do exactly the same as I can on a quad. And then I'm like, oh, geez, I'm getting a bit older and things are starting to hurt. Then I got in the side-by-side and realised you could do everything you can do on a quad, but with the safety of a cage. People didn't frown on them as much, so they were, more user-friendly for everybody.
Yeah, obviously, there's a stigma about quads, certainly in Australia.
Yeah, unfortunately. We won't go into that because I don't like that one.
No, don't get me started as well, mate, believe me.
But so the side-by-sides has always been a good avenue to go into, but bouncing back on what you're saying about the Max is everybody keeps saying that side-by-sides were too big, especially the Can-Am ones to start, but all of a sudden they realised that Can-Am might have had it dialed and everybody's become quite big.
Yep.
You get in the Max and the Max probably doesn't turn very well in a car park, but then when you actually get it out on the trails or whatever, it's surprisingly good. Like I haven't been anywhere that, my old man's still got 2-seater, and I get exactly the same spots he goes. So a general trail ride in Tassie, which goes for, best part of the day, I might back up around 2 corners for the day.
Yep.
But everywhere else I'm getting the same. And so now I actually get a bit of a thrill from driving that because people don't expect it to get where it gets.
Yep.
And I'm talking, I go out with my young children in the car, so I'm not putting it there because I'm choosing to. I'm putting it there safely and getting around just as easy. So
yeah, and everyone gets to have fun.
Yeah.
Get to scare the crap out of 3 of your mates at once instead of just one.
Yeah, well, that's right. When Anna doesn't want to go or the kids don't want to go anywhere, you put a couple of mates in and it's probably more fun because you're laughing a bit more than you are by yourself.
Yeah, and for us, I mean, the reason I went for the Max is because some of the adventures that we're going to do in the Side by Side Club of Australia, I can carry more gear, I can carry an icebox, swags on the roof.
You can put a swag in the back seat if you wanted,
exactly.
That's the same thing with us. Like Dad crossed the Simpson a while ago in his side-by-side.
That was in the Commander?
Yeah, in a Commander, and he said next time he would do it in the X3 because of the suspension and whatever else, be a bit nicer on those guys because they get a bit older.
Yeah.
But I said, why wouldn't you do it in a Max? Because you can chuck everything in the back. They're designed to carry the extra weight already.
Yeah.
And you're away.
Or even better, he could just do it in your Max.
No. But
hang on, your brother's got one.
Yeah, Troy's just bought one. I got a couple of mates with him as well. So it was always that thing. I always like to get the first one to see what it's really like because I'm a curious type of person.
Yeah.
But then other people can see the same reasons why I've got it, and they've got them as well to get out and about. So they're good.
Absolutely. All right, so we need to talk about the Side-by-Side Club of Australia. Now, the Side-by-Side Club of Australia and the Side-by-Side Australia podcast, they're not the same thing. The Side-by-Side Australia podcast is something that 47 Industries owns, which is my company. We've been around for a long, long time, dealing with quad bikes and side-by-sides. I've been working for close on 20 years with Can-Am. I've got a lot of friends and a lot of people that I work really closely with in the other brands as well, right through the industry. So the club itself is a completely autonomous machine. It's nothing to do with any of the manufacturers, apart from the fact that Can-Am were nice enough to fund starting it up. They've put a lot of effort behind making sure that it's successful. So for the next 2 years, the club is definitely sponsored by Can-Am, which is why at the bottom of the website, the Side-by-Side Club of Australia website, which is s.s.clubofaustralia.com.au, you'll see at the bottom of every page it says powered by Can-Am. That's because Can-Am has been instrumental in making sure this happens. That yes, I still do work for Can-Am, but this club is not a Can-Am club. We've got to make that really, really clear. I mean, I know you've got a lot of mates who drive other machines.
I've got a lot of mates with Polarises.
Yeah, exactly.
And also the RMXs. A lot of them RMXs.
The Yamaha RMX?
Now, yeah.
Yep,
so,
great machine.
You know, and for me, I'm not paid by anybody. You know, I don't work for Can-Am, I don't work with Polaris or whatever else. So you sort of mix with the whole lot, which is probably why this is going to be good. Yeah,
exactly right. So we needed to make sure that this whole thing is, though it's sponsored by one manufacturer initially, that's to get it off the ground. We just need everyone to understand this is an industry. It's not even an industry club. This is a community club. This is for all of the side-by-side riders and future side-by-side riders around Australia, giving them just another opportunity to have a ride.
I don't know much about the clubs at all, but obviously you would have to think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, even your Hondas, your Yamahas, your Polarises, your Can-Am, sure they're all going to be wanting to get behind something like this because people want more places to ride and use these units. Well, hopefully a club will provide something like that.
Absolutely, and that's what it's all about. I mean, there are a lot of opportunities now for side-by-sides to get out there and race. There's plenty of opportunities to race. That's not what we're about. We're about recreation. We're not about going super fast. The
recreation side's huge.
Exactly, and you get to a nice big open area and you want to put your foot down. Yeah, absolutely. We're not limited to 40 km. That's not what we're about. We want to have fun, and some parts of it are about going fast in safe areas. But a lot of the places we're going, it's tight, twisty, cruisy area, and we're there. We want to look at the scenery. We want to have a bit of a look around. I mean, two of the rides we've got planned for this year in the Central and Northern Flinders Ranges. I mean, they're gorgeous places. If you haven't been before, they're just amazing. But being in an open vehicle like a side-by-side means you get to take in that atmosphere so much more. We're not about racing. We're all about recreation. We're all about having adventures. And all about getting all of the brands. Doesn't matter what brand you ride. If it's on our list of accepted vehicles, which is on the website, the eligible vehicles, then you're welcome to bring it along. We've got to be really specific though. A side-by-side is what we want to limit it to. We don't want to open it up to as much as we've all got quads, you've got probably 10 in this shed. We don't want to open ourselves up to bringing other things in that are going to disrupt what we're doing. We need to be specific about side-by-sides. Had a guy in Victoria apply for a membership, which we'll talk about memberships shortly, and he was in a Honda Pilot, which is a late 80s, basically a Honda Odyssey.
Yeah.
And we sat back and thought about it, and we've accepted the Polaris Ace and the other Polaris single-seaters. Can't remember what the model's called, but one of the guys who's already in the club's got one of those. If you have a look at the video about our a pre-running ride that we did at Kingston a couple of weeks ago. This one-seater machine pops up a lot. Perky's a hell of a steerer, and he's an old buddy from Quad Riders SA, and he's all about side-by-sides now. He calls his a side, because it's only a single-seater. But we accepted that one as being a side-by-side purely because it's the same safety design and the safety guidelines as a side-by-side.
Yeah.
So it's got a North American ROPS-approved roll cage, all that sort of
It's been produced in the same sort of era where your Odysseys and stuff are kind of a hybrid on their own, aren't they?
And they're two-wheel drive, and as much
and
as
let's
they're
face it,
cool...
you go out and you do this sort of thing, that needs to be quite levelled across the board on what units are turning up so everybody enjoys the day. Where, you know, I know what it's like when I go riding on a quad with side-by-sides. It's just like half the spots I can't get because I don't have the wheel diameter to get up and over the rock ledges and whatever. So I bring the whole ride down. For one guy being different, so you can't do that. Yeah.
So if you've got a machine that's not on the list, then just send us an email and we'll have a look at it. And if we believe it fits in to the category, then we'll make an exception for that and we'll add it to the list. So not a problem.
And not only that, if it doesn't make the list, though, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people there. You've got a 4-seater.
Yeah.
Maybe they want to come for a spin and they might meet some people in a club. That's what a club's for.
Yeah.
Jump in, come for a drive. They might buy a Polaris, a Yamaha, a Can-Am, who knows what, because I can see that there's actually places for them to be used.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's what you're trying to get going here.
Exactly right. So what I was getting at before is we're not here to say you need to join our club and come to our rides exclusively and don't do anything else. We're not going to put anyone else down. We're all about having more opportunities to ride, not restricting you from doing any others. There are a lot of people out there. There's our buddy Colin Lawson who does tours up at Cape York and places like that. They're amazing. There's guys over in Victoria which are running a series. I know Polaris are heavily backing that at the moment.
Yep.
I know Sammy Mosca, he does tours over here in Tassie once a year that we tag along with. In fact, we've got one starting tomorrow. So we're all prepping for that as well. So there's a lot of opportunities to ride, and we're not about to say don't do that. We're about giving you another opportunity to ride. But I want to talk to you about the difference between what we're doing and what the commercial tour operators are doing. We've affiliated with Motorcycling Australia. So that means we've got the public liability insurance, which means that when we go to a farmer and say, hey, we want to bring these buggies along and we want to have a ride on this particular weekend, we've got this public liability insurance which is going to make sure that if anything goes wrong, you're not to blame and you're not going to get into strife. It's not going to cost you anything. And all of a sudden, the gates open and we go through. So it hasn't been easy and it's not cheap to affiliate with MA, as a lot of people who have started clubs would probably be able to attest to. But it's a process that we've already gone through. It's already done. And we've already had a ride already. And the good thing about the insurance with MA, and because they're encouraging this side-by-side thing, because it's certainly a growth area for them, it's $16 for a weekend.
Yeah.
Like if you want to come to a ride, it's going to cost what the property owner is going to charge us, which sometimes is $50 for the whole weekend, and then it's $16 to cover the insurance.
You can't buy me a pint of can of Coke for $16.
No, exactly. You can't buy you one drink of what you drink for $16.
No,
at most
I
places.
wouldn't drink it if it wasn't $16.
So that's the difference between us and a lot of the commercial tour operators. So we don't go to small little areas, motocross tracks, all that sort of stuff. Plenty do, and they're great fun. Absolutely. If your machine's set up for it, they're a heap of fun. Keep going to those things. Absolutely. What we're doing is initially the clubs started up in South Australia because that's where I'm from. That's where the guys who are running the club with me, most of them are from that area. And so it's just easier for us to start the club there. We're going to be running 5 rides this year in 2024. We've gone past when we were going to have the first ride. We didn't have everything. It didn't have all the ducks in a row, but now they are. So what we're doing, the first ride that we did, which was a pre-run, we just brought a bunch of the guys who were going to be helping out with the club anyway. We brought them along, and we went to the Kingston Sand Dunes down in the Coorong in SA. Beautiful sand dune properties, tight, twisty trails, big open sand dunes. It's a really cool place. We've been going there for 20 years, and we know the property owner really well. He lets us come along because we've got that MA insurance. So we're actually going to do that ride again in November. So that'll be our season closer for the year. So no one's missed out on that.
So if you want to go, you can jump on these next ones, no problem.
Absolutely. So all 5 of the rides, the official rides for the year, haven't happened yet. The first one is happening in the middle of this month, so only a few weeks away, which is why we're doing the podcast now while I'm in Tassie, rather than waiting until I get home to SA. So we're going to be doing the 5 rides for the year, and they're all going to be very, very cheap to do. Some of them are going to cost a little bit more to get to because we've got 2 rides in the northern, the central and northern Flinders Ranges. So that's like a 3.5, 4 hour drive from Adelaide. So if you're from Melbourne, if you're from Sydney, yeah, it's a little bit further to go. One of the rides is going to be at Scorpion Park, which was where you guys raced last week. I'm sure you're itching to get back to those sand whoops.
Well, in a side-by-side, I might be. Forget it on a quad. I've been more than 12 months worth of my whoops.
Yeah, in 2 days.
Yeah, in 2 days.
Yeah.
But a side-by-side, that'd be an awesome place.
Great track.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good. And we don't necessarily have to stick to the track because when we do that particular ride, it's not like a tag-along, follow the leader ride with a sweep rider and everything, which like the Flinders Ranges rides are. Scorpion Park and Kingston Dunes, so the other two, they're really camp away. So when we say camp away, it's basically you rock up, you're camping where your vehicle is, and you go out and ride. Yeah, we'll go out in groups.
They're the best ones. Anyway. Like, what are they? Do you have you guys thought any like night rides or anything like that? Are you allowed to do that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So spend as much money as you want on light bars and all that sort of stuff.
Well, like a bit of background for the one at Scorpion Park is there's some big kangaroos and emus and all sorts of stuff about. I know when I took a couple of guys around, I think it might have been one of your side by sides when we were over there racing.
Yep.
I took around a couple of the boys' parents just to show them what the track was like, and all that. And being from Tassie, we see wallabies, small little kangaroos.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a bit of an eye opener buzzing around there at night. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
A few foxes, and I think they've got some wild dogs, which they're not real happy about, but still worth a bit of a look.
Yeah, night riding's great. It's a completely different thing. I know Noodles and Rhino, a couple of the boys who are helping run in the club, which I'll get to that in a minute, they went out for a night ride when we were at Kingston a couple of weeks ago, and they just came back and said it's just a different sort of riding.
Go?
I didn't do the night ride.
Oh, didn't you?
No, because I cooked dinner, so I had a few beers in me by then, so once I start drinking, there's no more driving. But yeah, so night riding is really cool, and that's something you can do on a side-by-side a lot easier than you can on a quad.
Oh, yeah.
Set up light bars and things like that.
Well, to be honest, most of them got half-decent lights anyway, so
you
can go and chuck a light bar on if you want, but if you just want to potter around and have a bit of a look, well, the lights on them are probably half okay anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, so that's a camp away. They're lots of fun, really. All of the rides are family friendly. If you want to bring the family, definitely bring them. That's what it's all about. But because of the camp away style, it means that you're not away from camp all that long. You might go out for an hour and then you come back and have a bite to eat and have something to drink and have a chat and check out people's machines and everything. And then, have you going to go out for a ride? Oh, I'll follow you out. And
but that's
3 or 4 go out.
4 or 5 groups do their thing.
Yep.
You might be a guy that doesn't want to sit around the camp and want to go out with everyone.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you rode all day, but then you might be someone like me that doesn't mind mingling around, having a bit of a chat for half the day and a bit of a ride.
You don't mind having a chat?
Well, every now and then. You forced me into this one. But yeah, no, so I don't know. You can just choose what you want to do on those camp over ones, can't you? Like,
yeah, they're lots of fun. And then the last ride that we're going to do for the year, or second to last actually, now that we've got the Coorong one as the last ride, but the big pinnacle of the year is going to be our ride, which is in northwestern New South Wales, just outside a place called Packsaddle. So Packsaddle Roadhouse is going to be our base for some of that. We're still in the process of getting that all organised now. We've got a couple of really good contacts up there that have organised for us to get access to 4 or 5 different stations. So we've got about 1 million acres to play in.
It's 2 days.
I reckon we could do that. Yeah, so 1 million acres, lots of big mountain ranges, lots of big sandy creek beds that you can just drive along for 50 Ks. But we're going to have a planned route and we're going to be following Noodles. Trust me, just follow Noodles. Yes, he might get lost, but he'll always get you home. So it's we always have him at the front. And he's got a Max as well, so he may have his family with him, I'm not sure. But he's a great guy to follow.
So who's behind the club? So obviously you're involved in the club.
Yeah,
but it needs more than one person. So
yeah, absolutely. So I've probably instigated the whole process, been working on it for a while, and I've roped in a bunch of our old quad riding buddies to help out because I trust them and I know, or they were involved in doing this with the quad clubs in SA and Victoria back in the day anyway. So I guess my role, I'm industry liaison officer, so basically I'm the one, I'm helping get it all set up in the first place, but then once it's all rolling, I'm the one who talks to the other manufacturers, gets them involved and tries to get the dealers involved and feeds all the information back to the network, to all of the dealer networks so that everybody knows when they walk into a Polaris dealership, a Yamaha dealership, a Can-Am dealership, and they walk up to a side-by-side and they say, look, these are great, but I got nowhere to ride it.
Yeah.
Well, it's my job to make sure that salesperson on the floor can go, well, join this club, it's free, and there's at least 5 rides in your area every year. Now, for most people, 5 opportunities to ride a side-by-side is perhaps enough to justify buying one.
Well, it is. People have got families and busy lives with work and whatever. You actually get away 5 times a year in your side-by-side with everything that everybody else does. That's quite a bit.
It's
probably worthwhile buying one then.
Absolutely.
And you're obviously going down this track with the people behind you need, because you've seen a hole that needs to be filled with the club for a long time.
Yep. I mean, commercial tour operators are great and they're important, and you need to get involved and support those guys. It's really important that you do. But you're probably not going to go on a commercial tour multiple times a year.
And tours, I find too, like we said, we've helped with other tours as well, is they are structured to not change.
Yeah.
So you have to do 100 Ks a day, 200 Ks a day. You go up north, you're doing bigger days again.
Yep.
Not everybody wants to leave a busy work lifestyle where they're going every day in a routine to go to every day in a tour with a routine as well.
Yep.
So yes, the tours will have their people to go and do it to see the areas they want to see.
Yeah.
But once they've done those tours, what do they do then? Well, now they can go back, be a family-orientated club. They can get some riding. They can get trips away.
Yep.
And they've got more options as well.
That's
So I
it.
think it needs to be there as well.
Yeah, and most tours are like for a week.
Yeah.
Which is great. You can get a week to go and do a tour.
Yeah.
And do it.
But you're going to do that 5 times a year?
Maybe not.
That's right.
So our rides, they're basically a day and a half. So basically, Friday, you travel to where we're going to be. Depending on whereabouts it is, we might have the opportunity on the Friday afternoon to have a quick shakedown ride. So to go for a ride for an hour or two. But some of the properties, there isn't that opportunity. Some of the properties we're actually paying per day per buggy to be on the track. And when a particular loop is going to cost you $50, to do half the loop on the Friday afternoon for $50, probably not worth it, when you're going to be able to spend all day tomorrow doing it anyway. So our rides, you basically travel on the Friday, camp overnight. Some of these places where you're always getting charged for the camping option. If you decide to upgrade to a cabin or something like that, which you can do at a lot of the rides, that's your call. You can do that, and obviously we'll rebate the $30 camping fee or whatever it is. But we're setting it up so that we can make it as cheap as we can. I'm probably going to be camping at all of them. Just chuck the swag in under a quick shade.
There's people too that'll travel, like once you get to know a few people in the club, and they don't get to see them people quite regularly, they might go and stay in one of the local little bars or pubs or accommodations close by and catch up and have a few beers and a bite to eat before they even go to the club. So
you can do whatever you want. It's a club.
Right.
It's
exactly.
not a,
and
it's
clubs
not a commercial
grow,
tour.
don't
It's a
they?
club. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it'll grow into what everyone wants it to be.
Correct.
It may not be exactly what it is now. Let's see where it turns up. Okay, so there's myself. So I'm the industry liaison officer. I will look after the manufacturers and the other industry parties. Luke Beachy from ATV Stores, a good buddy of mine. I've known him for a lot of years. I've known his dad for a lot of years as well, back when he was alive. And Luke's been really great to the club in sponsoring the podcast and sponsoring the club. And he's going to be doing a segment with me in every podcast, which you'll see at the end of this. We'll drop that in, which we recorded a few weeks ago. So I'll be looking after those sort of sponsors and things like that as well. Mark Baker is our club president. He owns CBS Bins and Eco Waste Solutions in Adelaide, which are big recycling and skip bins. If you're a South Australian, the red skip bins you see at all the building sites, that's the Bakers. So when we talk about Bake, that's Mark Baker. He's our club president, a quad rider, obviously, from back in the day, and was instrumental in getting Quad Speedway happening. He still goes, I think he has 6 or 7 quad rides every year with his family, and it's like the dads and the kids go. I think the kids are just about to start having kids themselves now, but they're still going riding and having a ball. So that's our club president. Dave Newman, when you hear us talk about Noodles, we all know Noodles. He's one of my best mates. He is our navigation expert, and he's our vice president. He's done probably 80% of the background work when it comes to getting all the technical side of things, ABNs, bank accounts, getting the software and everything happening to make it all work. He's been instrumental. He's done a hell of a lot for the club. He's got a X3 Can-Am Max Maverick. So that's Noodles. We also, I'm just going to scroll down my notes so I remember everybody. Now, Dave Hand, Scooter, who we all know Scooter, another quad rider. Now, he's the treasurer of the club. He owns a business called Scooter Round Sales, which is a Polaris dealership in Adelaide. So if you're a Polaris guy, get into Scoot. So when we talk about Scooter, that's Dave Hand. We just call him Scooter partly because he looks like Scooter from the Muppet Show. But
I've always wondered where that comes from.
Yeah, I think I gave him that nickname. I was probably sitting around the campfire at Kingston. I gave him that one. But he's a fantastic fella, and so he's a club treasurer. Our club secretary is Steve Merciker, another one of my really close mates that I own another business with. So he owns City Discount Tyres, which is a tyre shop in Adelaide, which there was a bit of a plug there because I half own it with him.
Do they sell side-by-side tyres?
We do sell side-by-side
There's another
tyres.
plug for you.
There's another plug, thank you very much. So come and get your Max's side-by-side tyres from City Discount Tyres in Port Adelaide. He also owns a big auto elect business called Coan Solutions. He is our club secretary. He's a very, very shrewd business mind, so we've dragged him in to get on board. Not a side-by-side guy yet, but he will be.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
haven't finished with him yet. Pete Wilhelms. Anyone from Victoria who's had anything to do with quads, or even South Australia, actually anywhere in Australia,
Anywhere,
you'd probably know Petey.
Yeah. Yep.
So Pete Wilhelms has been in the industry forever. He's a very good mechanic, a motorcycle mechanic.
I was about to say, I kind of read on here as well, and I see where he's involved in with the admin here. I'm thinking, well, that's probably good, because we all know he's good at admin.
Yeah.
But that's not good enough, because Petey can do everything.
He can do everything, yeah.
Petey always does everything.
He's pretty clever. If something breaks, Petey usually is the one who gets roped in.
Petey will break a lot of stuff himself.
It's true.
Yeah,
true.
like Petey went out for a look lap the other day, and there was a
thumb pump?
Yeah, there's quite a few comments. We're like, do you reckon Petey will do a lap? Petey can get everybody else's bikes going very well. Petey don't spend much time on his own.
Yeah, because he hasn't got time. He's probably
So-
been too busy lately doing stuff for me.
And this is the goal. So we were going around doing a bit of track cutting, right? I know we're off topic now, but anyway, I'm going
That's
for
right.
it. So we're going around doing a bit of track building. My brother's on with me, and a young fella going around the track. And we're going around, and I've seen this big kangaroo prints. I'm saying to the young fella driving the bike, I'm like, "It's a big kangaroo." And he's like, "Yeah, it's a big kangaroo." And it's like, "What's that print?" He goes, "Oh, that's a wild dog print." And rightio. And I'm going, "What are these prints?" I said, "They look like human." And he's like, looked at me real funny. He goes, "Well, they kind of do, but I don't know what they are." Well, what would be way out here? Like, there's just scattered footprints everywhere, right?
Yeah.
But what it was, went around the next corner, here's Petey walking with a Kickstarter. So he rode his bike. This is after we just commented, was he going to do a lap?
Yeah.
He's walked back, so he sort of smudged his prints. So they were human prints,
Yeah.
but he'd walked about 2 Ks from his bike to where he last started and stopped, lost his Kickstarter and walked back. So here he is, 2 corners around, hearing us going, "What are these prints? Are they human? Are they what?" We pop around the corner and here's Petey picking up his Kickstarter.
He'd probably know what the footprints were, apart from the fact that he made them.
Yeah.
He's also a cub leader now, so he's heavily involved in cubs.
Yeah, he could tell me which way it was going, south, west, north. He was going the whole way.
All that stuff, yeah. So Petey's always done a lot of stuff for me, certainly. I've lost track of how many Ks I've done with him riding shotgun with me, driving the motocross nationals in Perth and all that sort of stuff. But Petey's pretty cluey when it comes to websites and things like that. So he's our website admin. He's put the website together for us. And he used to be a rep for Ron Angel Wholesale, which is one of the big motorcycle accessory suppliers in Aussie.
Yep.
But he's recently had a bit of a reverse sea change, and he's now living in Warragul in Victoria. And he's working at Christensen Motorcycles, which is a Yamaha dealership. So there's our Yamaha connection.
Yeah.
So which is great. It was one of the reasons why we got him involved. Also because
Oh, you need him around. He's a great guy.
Pete he was going to be involved anyway.
Anyone that goes to this club will meet Petey and think the same.
Yeah, gotta love him.
Not the next guy.
Mudguts.
Yeah. I'm not sure everyone's going to like Mudguts.
Are we going to talk about Mudguts?
No, we better be serious. Mudguts is all right.
He's actually in my phone still as Mudguts, the little fat kid.
I've never been that mean to him.
Well, that's not mean. He used to be a little fat kid.
Yeah, no, he did.
He's not anymore.
No.
Oh, he's not a kid anymore.
No.
But he'll always be the little fat kid for me. We love Andy. So Andy
Good guy.
owns a company called Ostraco. Used to be the ITP distributor, ITP tyre distributor for Australia. And he's always supported races forever, way
man.
more than he needed to.
The amount of stuff he's done for us and still does. So he doesn't even sell race ATV parts now.
Yeah.
You know, and the amount of stuff that he still does for us and hooks us up with his connections is crazy. Like the guy
He's
just
amazing.
likes to help you.
Yeah. He's just
So he's
the best.
good.
So he had to be part of it. And so when we got three side-by-sides, myself, Noodles and Bake all got side-by-sides, which were old ones from a tour company that BRP organised for us, which was fantastic. Thank you, BRP. That's Can-Am, if you didn't know. I needed to get those machines sorted out. And so because Andy now basically buys a lot of the trade-ins from the motorbike shops and side-by-side shops, quad shops around the southern part of Australia, fixes them up and sells them. That's his business now. That's what Ostraco has morphed into. I said to Andy, "I got 3 more for you. They're X3s. You're going to learn on the fly how to fix an X3." And I just picked them up from Sydney, drove them to Ballarat, left them with him, shipped him a heap of parts as he needed them, and he got them all going. And you'll see them; they're all running like a firecracker now.
But he's another prime example of a quad guy as well, though, because he has the same attitude as me. You don't really need one. You can go around your quads. When he comes away on one trip, a little shakedown with you, and then buys an X3.
Well, that's it. So he came with his Polaris General, which he bought as a wreck, which had blown up or on fire, or I don't ask. But anyway, he spent too much money on it and got it going, and it was great. Rolled me back on my wheels when I was upside down at Kingston.
Heard a little rumour.
Yeah. Anyway, so he brought that along, and then he jumped in an X3. He'd never driven one apart from around his property at home in Ballarat. He jumped in James Kalecki's, Dr. Zayas, and jumped in his X3 and went for a bit of a drive, come back grinning from ear to ear. He'd sold his General before he got home, and then he bought your brother's
This
X3.
is the best thing, because he always goes to me, "I'll never buy a Can-Am, never buy one."
Yeah.
Goes in one, buys our Can-Am.
Yeah.
So I was like, "You beauty."
Yeah, I'm pretty sure your brother's grateful that he didn't jump into Scooter's Polaris, because he probably would have bought one of them.
Yeah, that's right.
Because they're brilliant as well. So anyway, so that's Andy Seals, the little fat kid. Get to know him, because if you break down on the track, he'll be behind you and he'll be the one fixing your buggy.
Oh, and he's a great guy. There's people out there that don't want to fix their buggies as well. This is why clubs are good, because you meet people like Andy that would be more than happy to help you out, point in the right direction if you can't, or actually fix them for you.
Yeah,
So,
and he spends just as much time working on the other brands as he does on Can-Am.
all
so
of
it's
them.
Not just Can-Am.
Yep, Andy knows the whole industry, quads as well.
Yep.
You know, whatever you need based around it is good.
Yep.
So he's a great guy.
And then the other one I've got on the list is Rhino, which is Ryan Shute.
Yeah, I haven't met Rhino.
You haven't met Rhino yet?
No.
Okay, so Rhino's another one of our quad riding buddies. He and Noodles actually own a big scrub block where they go riding through the winter months. The blocks are next to each other, so the track's actually interlinked.
Yep.
I've known Rhino forever. Rhino came on, I think I told you, back in the day, a group of us took the whole range of Polaris. See, I haven't always worked for Can-Am. Took the whole range of Polaris quads across the Simpson Desert.
Yep.
So we have full permits to go in national parks and everything. So we drove from Popple Corner right through the South Australian portion to Dalhousie Springs. If you search hard enough on YouTube, you'll find them. It was called Quad to Cross the Simpson, and it's broken down. It's a video. We made a movie on it. It's broken down into a bunch of parts, and that's where I'm pretty sure that's where I first met Rhino. Okay, Rhino came with the Cowie boys, who are more guys who are probably going to get involved in the club. But Rhino, we've done a heap of tour riding together. Rhino's a really, really good mate, and when he actually joined the club, you put in there, is there anything that you think we should know that could be advantageous to the club? And he put in there, not a fabricator. Okay, so he made it very clear he's not a really, really good welder and trailer builder and truck chassis extender and all of that stuff. That's not what he does. Yeah, so all of my trailers have been improved, shortened, lengthened, extended, reinforced and fixed by Rhino. So very, very good fabricator. But he's not a fabricator. Make that very clear. Okay, what else do we need to talk about?
Well, I suppose, what's it cost to join the club?
Nothing.
Okay,
Can you afford that?
Yeah. I feel guilty with nothing.
Yeah, look, it doesn't cost anything to join the club. All it costs to actually come on the rides is what the property owner wants and the $16 for the whole weekend.
Righto.
The other part of what we're doing with the club is charity fundraising.
Yep.
Now, there's method in our madness. We're not doing charity fundraising purely for the warm and fuzzies. Yes, we are doing it for that because I like to think that side-by-side drivers are nice people and they like to give back. But there's actually another reason why we're doing fundraising. So we're not raising money for the Flying Doctor. We're not raising money for Rural Fire Service. What we're doing is we're picking a specific region and we're picking a particular charity that the local property owners support. Oh, yeah. And we're asking them, what charity should we support? And then all of the money that we raise through the entire year is going to go to that one particular charity. Right, so we're hoping to raise over 10 grand.
Yep.
I don't think it's going to be hard. And at the end of the season, so when we do our big pack saddle ride, we're going to be talking to, which we've already done, we don't want to give too much away yet, but we're talking to the local property owners who are letting us use their properties, and we're saying to them, we're going to have all this money at the end of the year, where should we put it? And we've already decided where we're going to put the money. We'll let you know a little bit later on once we get a few more things confirmed. But all of that money will go to that region. And because the reason we're doing that is so that when we go to other regions and we sit down with the Rural Fire Service, the CFS, the whatever, the Rotary Club or anything in a particular area, we're always going to be targeting the areas, we're always going to be targeting the charities that are supported by the local property owners. So Rural Fire Service is a classic example because all of the volunteers in the Rural Fire Service are the local farmers, and they're the ones that we want to get access to their property. We only need access to it for 2 days in the year, and if we pick one particular place, maybe we'll do something in Tassie, and which I'm sure we will down the track. We might pick a particular area and we might say, okay, what's a really core charity in that area that all of the local property owners support? They're the ones who are going to get the funds. So that's the reason, one of the reasons why we're doing it. Also, it's nice to be nice. You got to do it. Righto, Luke Beachy, welcome to the podcast, buddy. How you doing?
Yeah, good, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Too easy. Now, I want to give people a bit of a heads up on our history, on how we know each other and have done for, it's over 20 years now, I reckon, isn't it?
Yeah, it would be just over 20.
Yeah, lucky you, knowing me that long. Yeah, so I knew your old man before I knew you.
Yeah.
I knew Mark, so the quad father, we called him. So he was basically instrumental in starting quad racing in Australia, which is all of our background, obviously yours as well. But I didn't meet you until maybe 5 or 6 years after I knew him.
Yep.
Thanks, mate. That's great. Yeah, just yes and no answers is plenty for now. Don't elaborate.
Yeah, no, that's what I figured. That's what I'm here for, aren't I? So, well, no, you're right. No, when he got into quads, I wasn't a real fan, So I thought him and the rest of the quad guys were.
You gave quad shit. You always did.
Didn't make sense to me. Didn't make sense to me.
Because you were a two-wheel guy back in those days. You were living up in the Gold Coast back then, yeah?
Yes, yep. Living on the Gold Coast, racing two-wheelers. Just saw what old man was doing with some of the quad racing, and randomly I would happen to be down in Victoria on holidays. I think it was 2003 or 4, I think 3, when Tim Farr came out to do the Nationals. So I just happened to be down there for that, with you guys and Dad and plenty of other people. And yeah, Corumburra. And that was where it changed what I thought about quads. I saw the way Tim rode a quad and it impressed me. It completely changed my attitude within 30 seconds of what I thought about quads. And I reckon half an hour later, in my head, I decided that that's what I was going to do. So, yeah.
Actually, I think I've got some footage from the after party of those Nationals here somewhere. Hang on, see if I can find... Oh, no, I can't find it. That's all right.
Nah, there'd be no footage. Nobody needs to see that stuff.
No, all good. So as far as you're concerned, with your history in the industry, so you were working at a Yamaha dealership down in Victoria for a while, then moved back up to Goldie and started your own thing.
Yeah, I did. So after a couple of years of racing the quads and working at a Yamaha dealership down in Vic, then I went over to the US for the year and did some racing over there. And then, started up just working from home in the shed, bringing in a few parts and bits and pieces. And, things progressed from there over the years.
You were a Polaris dealer for a while as well, and then moved on from that. And now you're at ATV store, which is fantastic.
Yeah, so no, it was, did the, parts, race quads for a few years, and, started selling some Polarises, had the dealership for a couple of years, which was great, and busy, kept me really busy and going to all the races. And then it must have been about 2.5 years ago, the idea of ATV store came around from the guys that, started MX store, which is, Australia's largest online retailer of parts and accessories for bikes. So, we got together, did some talking, and realised that with, my expertise in the industry and, contacts and knowledge of doing it for 20 years, and everything those guys knew about running a business and doing the retail side of things online. And, it came together with ATV store, and it's been going well since. So.
Beautiful. And you guys are a good supporter of of us and of the club, of Side by Side Club of Australia and the Side by Side Australia podcast, which is great. Thank you so much for all of your support. I'm sure that's going to be an ongoing thing. And you're actually going to come out to some rides, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the plan. We want to support the club, and all the rides and get right behind it because it's such a great thing you're doing and getting people together and building the industry and just getting people together to have fun. So, yeah, my plan is to definitely get to a few of them this year, definitely make it to the first one in April, just meet more like-minded people, have fun and, yeah, see what people are doing with their side-by-sides and, yeah, get involved. So.
Beautiful, because obviously the whole industry has really merged from ATV, which is where we started. It's all definitely side by side now, which is obviously why everything is all starting up for us.
Yes, so it's huge. We still sell ATV parts. The sports stuff still sells a little bit, but every inquiry just about is side by side stuff, and it's not. I think for a while myself even I thought it was just about the race stuff and that where it's not. It's the sport and recreation market. The guys that might be using them just once a month, once every 6 months, every weekend, just such a variety. So the market for that is huge, as and everybody knows now.
Yeah, racing's great, and it's excellent that those guys are out there doing that. We certainly don't want to detract from that. But obviously what we're all about here at Side by Side Australia podcast and the Side by Side Club of Australia is recreation, it's camping, it's trail riding, it's all of that sort of stuff. So, yeah, and now I've got to ask you, I don't know whether you strategically place these two trophies either side of you, but I can see you've got a thumb pump trophy there and you've got a Fink trophy there. Come on. Tell us how you got them. What's the deal?
I would never put the thumb pump trophy there. I would never put the thumb pump trophy there just to suck up to you. No way.
Because it was my event. Yeah, but running it. Yeah.
Well, yes, exactly. And no, it's cool. We've just recently set up a bit of a workshop here for doing some filming of products and how-to videos. And for me, it was really cool. I think I put a lot of my memorabilia and stuff has just been tucked away in the shed. I haven't looked at for years. So, getting involved in ATV store and then, yourself with the club and, doing what we're doing here at work, Anyway, I was going through the shed, found these trophies here, which is the thumb pump from, 2011. And the Fink one is from, I don't know, must be around the same year as well, both the first place. So they're really cool. And they bring back a lot of good memories. So it's just getting them out. It's been really good for me talking to people about them. And, I forget about a lot of that fun stuff and the good times I had doing those events, and the great people I met. So I'm, it's cool to have them out and, talking to people about them. So.
Okay, now I've got to tell your Fink story because it's my favourite story. Every time anyone asks me about you and our history together, I always pull out this story. You don't mind, do you?
Yes. No,
yes, you do.
Go for it, you helped me get that trophy, so...
yeah, true. Also, I'm the only reason you got that trophy. We all know that, and I tell everyone that.
Exactly.
So the story was you turned up to defeat your normal, standard, super organised self without a swag.
Yeah.
But what were you racing? What bike were you racing? It wasn't a Can-Am. You were on a Yamaha, weren't you, back then?
No, I was on Polaris.
Of course, because that's back in a Polaris dealer. So,
yep.
Yeah, you rock up without a swag or anything, and I said to you, mate, I've got the 47 Industries race rig. I'm taking it down to the Fincan. Just come and crash in there with me. So you ended up jumping in the queen size bed with me that night. Had a beautiful sleep. I didn't touch you or anything inappropriate at all, as far as anyone's concerned. And then the next day you raced home and you actually won. That was your first Fink win?
It was my first Fink win. So,
and I remember at the finish line, walking up to, I reckon it was maybe Simon Gloyn, who was a marketing manager back then, now is the Queensland rep for Polaris, and it was one of the Peters. It was either Peter Harvey or Peter Alexander. I can't remember which one of the bosses back then at Polaris. They beelined for me, walked straight up to me, and I came up and gave you a big hug. Congratulations. And then one of them, I can't remember who it was, it might have been Peter, said, so what do you reckon, Mick? Polaris won Fink. And because Can-Am came second and third, I just looked at him straight in the eye and I said, it's really good, but Can-Am got a double podium, and the only reason Luke got first is because I slept with him last night, and I just turned around and walked away, and I think their jaws dropped. It was the funniest thing. It was so cool.
No, it was awesome, and I love it that, it must be, 20 years later, You know,
Yeah.
not 10, 20 years later, sorry, 10 years later, you know, we're still laughing about it and enjoying it. And it did, you know, that good night's sleep just worked for me, obviously. So,
Really? Oh, very good. All right. Well, we're going to sign off for now. But I just explain to everybody that we're going to do a little segment in all of the podcasts with ATV Store because you're such a strong supporter of the industry and of what we're doing as well.
Yep.
So we'll get you in here for sort of 5 minutes in each of the podcasts and get you to just bring to us some either good selling product or latest product or some of the new stuff you've got. I've got to say, I do buy a lot of stuff from ATV Store, and I know you keep your eye out for it because you write dirty notes on the packages when they get sent to me. But the reason
Love
I
notes.
usually order stuff from ATV Store is if I need it really quick. I know it sounds a bit odd, but I live in the Riverland in South Australia, so I'm not in the city. So I've sometimes got to wait to get down to Adelaide to go see a dealer. But if I order stuff from ATV Store, quite often it's here the next day. It's just crazy. I don't know what you guys are doing for freight, but it works well.
Yeah. And that's something that we do work really hard on. You know, if you look at our website, we have thousands of products on there and it's growing every single day. You know, our goal is to be the retail destination for all your parts and accessories for side-by-sides and ATVs. You know, we work really hard. We have a 2 p.m. promise every day. If your order is placed before 2 p.m., we guarantee it'll ship that day, whether it's standard road shipping or it is an airbag, you know, going all around the country. It's something we work really hard on. And, you know, when I was saying about the thousands of products on the website, we do our best to carry them all in stock. You know, the only reason we don't have them in stock is if the supplier is out of them, but all the products on our website are stocked items, you know, so that is a huge thing. You know, we want one place where everybody can come, get what they need, get the shipping, you know, get the good advice, and it works for everyone. So that's part of what we're trying to really offer to the industry. So
you're nailing it, mate. You guys are doing really well. Awesome. Hey, thanks for your time, brother. We'll catch up in about a month, and hopefully we'll see you in the sand dunes, maybe.
Sounds good, mate. We'll talk soon.
So how do you join the Side-by-Side Club?
Okay, so there's a website that Petey set up, which is SXS Club of Australia.com.au.
Yep.
Go onto that. There's a full description of what the club's all about. Just text of all the waffle that I've just been going on about for the last 20 minutes.
Yep.
And then in the top right-hand corner, you'll see a button that says join.
Yep.
Click on that and it takes you straight to the joining page. It's really easy to follow. Even I worked it out. You haven't tried to join yet, have you? Your brother did yesterday.
Did he?
Yep. I think we'll have to get you onto it tonight.
I'm sick of him beating me and everything.
Okay, so hit that join button, go through the process. If you're planning on bringing family members along, then when it gets to the section where it says, is there anyone else you want to join underneath your membership, then add all of them in. If you've got kids that are over 16, over 15 actually, when they're 16 and older, get them to sign up as a single member, and that way it's just going to benefit them down the track. Because if they're going to be driving a buggy themselves, it's going to be good for them to be a single member. Not essential, but it's going to help.
Well, question for me is, if you're going to be a passenger, do you have to be a member as well?
Yep.
For liability and...
Absolutely. So you still got to pay the $16.
Yeah.
If there's fees to go, like Flinders Rangers ride, there's probably $120 in fees for actual buggy, for four-wheel drive tracks that we're going to be on for the weekend.
Yep.
So only the driver pays that. So the passenger only pays for their camping and the insurance.
Yep.
That's it. Some of the properties like Scorpion Park, it's a flat $50 per person. There's no extra to drive your buggy, so everyone just pays $50 plus the $16 for your MA, for your insurance. But what we're doing in conjunction with the fundraising is we're going to say to everybody at the end of the ride, okay, please give us a commitment of a charity payment that you're going to make at the end of the year for this particular ride. Now, it might be $100, it might be more. It really doesn't matter. Every little bit adds up, but you don't have to pay it straight away. So we just say, give us an email, send the email back to the email address, which will give you all those details down the track. Give us a commitment on how much you want to pay for this particular ride. We're hoping everybody gives a donation of something for the ride, and it's going to be pretty quick for that money to add up. Yeah. And then at the end of the year, when we're ready to do the charity payment, we'll send everyone an email and say, okay, you've committed to this much, please send your payment to this place. And we're hoping that we're going to be able to set it up so you pay direct to them. Nothing goes to the club, Clubs are not for profit. We're not about making money. Can-Am gives us some money. A lot of the other sponsors are giving us some money. So that covers all of the costs of all the software and the back end and all of that sort of thing for the running of the club. You don't need to pay for the club. The industry's doing that.
Sorry to interrupt you again, but on that one, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's got to get online and it's got to pay and it's got to make a commitment and forgets and is hopeless and can't use his phone.
Yeah.
Will there be someone there though that we can give $10 to, $20 to, $100 to, whatever we want to do?
For sure.
At each ride.
Absolutely.
So I'm just thinking maybe we need to have someone that's earmarked with that so we can go to, because I'd happily give, if I've had a good weekend, enjoyed myself, and I think, geez, it's been, something I'm pretty happy to be involved in.
Yep.
And I want to support a charity.
Yep.
If I've got to get back online and do it, I'm probably a bit slack when it comes to that. So I'll just go, I'll do it tomorrow, tomorrow disappears and I haven't done it.
Sure.
So I'd rather just be able to give it to someone.
Just go to Scooter, he's our treasurer, and he'll be at all the rides, and give him what you think is fair, and we'll make a note of it. Because keeping in mind, some of these properties we're going to, it's going to come a day where we can't have 100 buggies at some of these properties. It's just too much to manage for starters. So obviously we're going to go back, and some of these rides, maybe for next year, you might get 5 rides and then there might be 2 invitationals. Now the invitationals are going to be for those who have supported the club the most. Obviously we start at the top of the list. Now that, I don't mean financially necessarily, but chipping in. It's a club. It's not a commercial business. So if someone sticks their hand up and says, look, I want to help out, what can I do? And we give them a task for the weekend. I want to take some GoPro footage to help out because we're going to be doing videos at all of the rides. I've got this particular skill. I can help out with that. I'm a butcher. Can I bring a heap of meat along and we'll do a dinner one night and I'll pay for that? All of those sort of things go into your little basket, and then we'll keep tabs of it. And if we do have a ride that's going to be an invitational, obviously the people that support the club the most will be the first to get asked.
Oh, and what you might find too, going back on the charity one, is if you've got sections of people, once you get to know them, that's actually organising that ride, they mightn't put a lot of money in for a charity because they've already put money in by helping you or whoever it is have the event there. But when they travel somewhere close down the road that's affordable, they might think, well, this one was really cheap and it was all right, so I'll chuck in $50 or $100 to charity.
Oh, for sure.
If people are coming to SA or to New South Wales from Victoria, they probably can't afford to. So you can pick and choose on the ones you go to, and like you say, before you know it, the money will be coming in anyway, because people are pretty generous normally that have got side-by-sides and quads and two-wheelers. They're all
because they're not cheap. It's not a cheap sport. Now, you're talking about people travelling long distances to get to the rides, and that's a good little segue. At the moment, the club is based in South Australia. The 5 rides are going to be Flinders Ranges, which is South Australia, Paxsaddle, which is northern New South Wales, but probably closer to Adelaide than it is to anything else. Scorpion Park, which is slap bang on the Victoria-South Australia border. But again, probably closer to Adelaide than it is to Melbourne. How long did it take you guys? Oh, you guys come from Tassie. Like from Melbourne, how long was the drive?
6 hours.
6 hours, that's not too bad. So it's a couple of hours longer, but it's still fine,
it's fine.
And then the last ride is in the Coorong, which is close to Melbourne, but also close to Adelaide. That's year 1. The commitment that we've made is that we're going to aim to roll out another chapter of the club, still a national club, still under one umbrella, still affiliated with MA. We're planning on each year opening up another chapter to expand the club. All right, so it'll still be under Baker, it'll still be under Noodles, I'll still be the industry liaison officer, but we'll have 2 key people in each region that will be running rides in that particular region. Now, I've already been speaking to somebody who we're going to be spending all week with, who has said to me that he's really keen to get on board and help out here in Tassie. So Tassie might happen next year. I don't want to bite off more than I can chew, but we'll see how we go. But that'll mean not just riding under the conditional rego that you have here in Tassie. It'll be about finding private properties that you wouldn't otherwise have access to. That's what we're all about. But there'll be those sort of rides as well. I know Victoria is something that we've been working on as well, and obviously having Petey out of Victoria, he's on board with helping out if we do something over there. We've got people like Victor Bonacci, another quad rider, who's keen. He and his kids are all riding side-by-sides now. And even Victor himself has got a decent property that could be good. So all of these sort of people that...
these are people we just know. As soon as you get a club involved and we're meeting new people, there's new opportunities every day. So that's the best part about a club, because all of a sudden it's a club everywhere.
Exactly, and that means because it's all under one banner and it's all under one club, you sit down at the beginning of the year and you'll have a look at the calendar and there'll be 5 rides in your region. And then there's 5 in Victoria, and there's 5 in Tassie, and then there's some in Perth, and all these.
But all of a sudden, there's no rides in your region. You go, why is there no rides in my region? Put your hand up. I can put a ride over here.
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
for
and then
sure.
all of a sudden, that's because we haven't mentioned WA much at all.
No,
I don't know anyone in WA really.
I don't think I've got a visa to get into Western Australia anymore.
No.
It's been a while.
But the thing is, they've got big properties. I'm sure it's going to come pretty easily once it takes off.
Absolutely.
You know, and then all of a sudden you can plan one big trip a year to go and. I've always wanted to go to WA.
Absolutely.
I want to go and race, but let's face it, that's probably not going to happen. So I might pack up the side-by-side and head over that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Road trip.
Yeah.
Another road trip.
My honest brother lives there, so I could tie it in. I could pretend I'm going to visit the brother.
Yeah.
That gets it across the line with the family, and I get the side-by-side for the week. Beauty.
So absolutely, we're planning on expanding the club beyond where it is initially in this first year. But what we're going to do is, as people join the club, we're going to look at where the clusters of members are coming from, and then we're going to find the right people, because it's all about having the right people. And trust me, if you're the wrong person for this club, you ain't going to last long. We're very, very strict on who's going to be joining the club, and if you mess up, you're out.
And unfortunately, you know, there's a lot of people out there that do frown upon, you know, especially the quads. I've come right from that heat of that.
Yeah.
And we do have to be careful, and we do have to stick together, and we've got to do the right things. So we've got this opportunity for our families to keep doing.
Exactly, and that's why we affiliated with Tread Lightly in North America too.
Yep, and great for education for everybody.
Yep.
And we're in areas that we're allowed to be. So, you know, it's a good step, I reckon.
Yep, absolutely. So this is the start of it. This is where it starts from, guys. We just want you to sign up to the club. It's free. We don't want to have 1,000 members and 750 of them are non-active. If you've got a side-by-side, or if you're thinking about getting a side-by-side, or if you want to come along with somebody who owns a side-by-side, please sign up and join the club. It's what it's all about.
Or if you're, like you said, thinking about a side-by-side, but you don't have the option to get one right now, but it's something that really tickles your fancy. I've got plenty of mates that have rode my bikes over the years, and I think it's great because it gets them in, they get a new perspective for it firsthand. You know, if I'm ever on any of these rides, I've got a 4-seater max. I'll be happily to take 3 people I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be more than happy for them to reach out to the club without a side-by-side, but want to actively come along and help because... You know, I know there's a lot of guys in Tassie getting around in side-by-sides, and there was a doctor fella there that was, you know, never really knew he was into side-by-sides or anything like that, got no desire to drive one at all, but goes along, jumps in the passenger side, has the time of his life, and helps out in other ways. So it's like, you don't have to drive one to be involved. Yeah. You know, there's going to be plenty of people who take them around, and then they could be great people for the club too.
Yep, absolutely.
So I think reach out if you're somewhat keen to jump into side-by-side, even if you don't have one.
Yeah, for sure. So membership is free. When you're doing your membership, we've actually got a little question there. Do you already know somebody, a member of the club? The reason we've done that is because we don't know everybody on the planet who owns a side-by-side. If you know somebody who's in the club already, we'll ring them and we'll say, hey, this guy's just applied and he's put you down as a reference. What's he like? Yeah, what's she like? Sorry, I'm being a bit sexist there. And that's a good way for us to gauge if you're the sort of person we think is going to be good at this recreational, family-friendly club.
And let's hope most people reaching out are going to be anyway.
Yeah.
But like you said, we just got to, this day and age, you got to check, make sure they're all good.
You do, because let's face it, we're doing this in our spare time.
Yeah.
You know, we're not getting paid to do this.
Yeah.
This is something that we want to do and do long-term and have fun doing it. And if there's idiots that are going along and drinking too much at night and carrying on and upsetting people, well, guess what? That was their last ride.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, that's it. We just want you guys, join up, come along. Once you actually join, you'll be able to see the calendar that's got the first 3 rides already listed on there. The final 2, we're just waiting. The last one's definitely going to be at Kingston. The second last one's definitely going to be out of around Paxsaddle Station and in that region up north of Broken Hill. The dates are correct. We're just waiting on the final costings. That's the only reason we haven't done those yet.
Is it something that people that are joining now that are thinking about attending probably should start giving you the heads up for? Because I think something like this could get big pretty quick.
Oh yeah, it can, and we've got to make sure that we can keep managing it.
Yeah, so if you are thinking about attending, don't leave it to the last 4 days when we realise we can't handle it.
Yeah.
Maybe start letting us know that you're looking at attending from now.
Yeah.
Can't be too early.
No, that's it. You just jump onto the calendar and you can click that you're interested in going on the ride, You don't have to actually sign in or anything. You just hit the interested button.
Yep.
We actually haven't got the payment system set up yet.
Okay.
And for now, what we're going to do is it's only the driver of the buggy that is going to be signing up for the ride. The passengers, they just pay, because they're less money, they just pay cash on the day. So whether you come with a passenger or not, that's up to you. You can pick up a hitchhiker on the way and bring them along, and they might have $50 that they need to pay. When they get there, they just do that with cash when they get there. But the prepayment for each of the rides will be online. If you can't pay online for whatever reason, just give us a buzz. I'll put it out there. My mobile number, 0407 795 295. Ring me anytime. If I don't answer, it's either I'm training a dealer or at a field days or asleep.
Another one that's popped up to me, is there anything on the website that tells you what requirements they have to have for their buggy? So is there any set things they need to have? Do they need first aid kits? Do they need anything, or is it covered?
Not really. We do list per
Obviously-
ride what the terrain's going to be like and what sort of things to expect. Like Flinders Ranges, when we do Willow Springs, she's rocky.
Yep.
Bring a spare tyre, bring a plug kit.
Yep, so there is
bring
some
a
advice
compressor,
there.
that sort of stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Like most people know, but new people won't know as much. So
Yeah. And
if you don't know, give Mick a call.
Yeah,
Like,
give me a call for
yeah,
sure. And we'll be doing a podcast before each of the rides, and we'll be elaborating more on what's going to happen.
Yeah, perfect.
just so you know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, and like, Scorpion Park, things like that. So what you need for camping, and whether there's going to be toilets there or
Yep.
showers, so you'll let everybody know that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yep. No surprises. And if you don't know, if there's a question you've got and you listen to the podcast or you look at the podcast, then and we haven't answered the question, just give me a holler or drop us an email. The email address is on the website as well. Also, when you go into the main website, there's a bunch of buttons on there which are the podcast, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all of that sort of stuff. Click on those links. Those links go directly to those pages. So there's a YouTube page. There's actually two YouTube pages. One is for this podcast, which is if you're watching this podcast, that'll be where you're watching it. But there's also an audio podcast, which will be on Spotify. That link won't work until I actually post that up, which by the time, if you're listening to this, I've already done it. Aren't I clever? There's a YouTube page, which is the playlist for the club. So each of the rides we do, I'll be doing a video, as I've always done. And that video will go up probably the week after the ride is when I'll get a chance to do it, subject to work. And if anyone else is doing any videos out of these rides, bringing drones, all that sort of stuff, and you're going to post things on socials, just make sure you tag us. And if you want to send me the raw files, and I'll upload them to the YouTube page as well so people can see them.
Cool.
That's it. That's what the club's all about. That's what the podcast is all about. Get involved. If you've got mates that have got side-by-sides and you think they'd like to come along as well, please tell them about us. And we hope to see you out in the trails.
Sweet.
Thanks for your help, Clint.
No worries.
We better go start packing. We're off into the scrub with the Melbourne Sea-Doo boys tomorrow morning.
You beauty.
I'll be standing knee-deep in a frozen water in the middle of Tassie by lunchtime, I reckon.
And I'll be cooking kebabs. That's day one's lunch. You beauty.
Kebabs, beautiful.
Kebabs in the bush.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, and thanks, sponsors, and we'll chat to you next time.